be the bride and black that's making you run. I feel alright and we'll feel alright, 'cause we'll work it out. Yeah, we'll work it out. I'll be doing this if you ever doubt, till the love runs out, till the love runs out. I'll be your ghost, your game, your stadium. I'll be your 50,000 clapping like one. I feel alright and I feel alright, 'cause I work it out. Yeah, I worked it out. I'll be doing this if you ever doubt, till the love runs out, till the love runs out. I've got my mind made up and I can't let go. I'm killing every second till it saves my soul. I'll be running till the love runs out, till the love runs out. And we'll start a fire and we'll shut it down, till the love runs out, till the love runs out.
Well, hello, folks. I tell you what, let me just check some audio here, make sure everything there is going great, and it is. My name is Jerry McKee, and guess what? We got a special guest here today, and we're going to be talking to him about education. And you know what? He can tell you, because he's in education, not as a teacher, but on the opposite end. He's a student, and we're going to talk to him about his Westward Bound, Teens Westward Bound, where he went across the United States, and he'd never been away from home before, and the parents just threw him out and says, hit the trail, go west, young man, go west. No, they didn't really, but anyway, he's going to tell you something about those adventures there. How about a boy state? Also, it's not a different state. You know, we got South Carolina, we don't have a different state there, so he's going to talk to you a little bit about that, some advice on getting scholarships and things, you know, and we're going to talk a little bit about his business, right? He owns his own business. Yes, at 19 years old. Isn't that something? 19 years old, I'm still collecting bottles, trying to get a little extra money there with a wheelbarrow going around things. But you're going to recognize him. You're going to see a number down here, and it's 864-441-9382. And when you see that number there, guess what? You can call in live and talk to Gabriel if you have a question for him. And I'm getting ready to switch him over here. Gabriel, how's school today?
It's been going good, man. It's been going. So what classes did you have today? Oh, Lord. So I had my Old Testament class. That was a religion class at 8:30 in the morning, so that's bright and early. And then I had my macroeconomics class at 10:30. And then I also have a first-year exploration class at 11:30. So
First year exploration class.
Yes, sir.
In case you expire or what? I mean, what's that? What kind of class is that?
It just basically gets you, like, situated into college. So, like, it's just mainly to help you get adjusted to, like, studying in this college environment and everything.
Is it like University 101, similar?
Yeah, something that are kind of in that same vein. So.
Well, I was kind of glad that, you know, it wasn't something like, you know, you go in, you know, you just, yes, we're going to talk to you about you expiring. Oh, wait a minute here, you know. So, well, that's great that you got these classes here, and we talked about the religion class before, and I think you had a test like 50 questions, right?
Yes, sir. I had a 50-question test, and it was not fun, honestly. It was a lot of, it was a very hard test, honestly, and I thought I failed it, and then I got it back, and it was an 82, and I was like, I'll take that, so.
You know what? I would take 82, man, I tell you, especially 50 questions, and that's in the Old Testament, right?
Yes, that is all Old Testament. That was about all the kings and Israel and Judah and all of that, and it's a lot of very hard stuff when you first like read it, because it's like I don't know, it's just a lot to grasp, and it's a lot that's going on that like you kind of have to keep up with. So,
well, I can see that where, you know, it's kind of me being a pastor, and the Old Testament is a hard book. I mean, you talk about in Greek and Hebrew, and for the New Testament stuff, and you know, you really, but those these and thous can get you too, can't they?
Oh yeah, they definitely can.
So growing up, and I want to ask you this question here. In growing up, And I'm going to kind of do us a split screen here or something like here. And let me do it this way and do here. And now just give me, folks, just a couple minutes here. And, yeah. I just want us both to be in the frame here. That I don't want to be in the frame twice. Okay, there we go. Thank you, folks. Now, here's both of us. It's almost like we're talking each other side by side. So, now, back years ago, many years ago, you guys had an opportunity. Now, so a lot of people don't know this, that, we talk about, like, Brady Bunch. We talk about Andy Griffith with Little Opie and all this, these childhood prodigies that went in and got to be stars in this movie. Now, you got to star in the movie when you was real small, and it went all around our home, and we had over, I guess, pretty well close to 200, was a million, about 300 people watched, and that's us watching it over again. And but anyway, the popularity come there. People was coming up to you, the girls and all that right there, and the autograph, and then this right here. What was the name of that movie that you were in?
I think you talked about The Great Detective, Pop.
I think I am too, and I know what everybody's asking. Says I don't never seen that before. That's because it was released. It was out in the movies everywhere except for here and around the world. But let's take a little bit of the advertisement of that. Oh
Lord, I have not looked at the advertisement in a long time.
Oh, it's folks. We got to show you this. This is called The Great Detective, and Gabriel was the lead star in that lead role in that, and he did a good job of bringing the sister in on this, and her playing in these parts too. So we had the studio set up, had commercials and all this, but here. Well, okay, Gabriel. The Great Detective.
Yes.
Now, I know it was like hundreds and hundreds of kids lined up for this part.
Oh yeah, it was a very hard audition process, I'm sure.
It was. I think it was the 100 kids. No, that was for another part, somewhere else in another movie like that. So I kind of, one thing about influences of grown-ups, we can just about talk to kids into anything. And and Madeline, yes, that was great. I remember Madeline telling me, hadn't been that long ago, she says, you know what, Pop, you lied to me. I says, what? When did I lie to you? And I was saying, oh, what did I lie to her about? And it was this little bitty laser that I was, you know how you get a cat to chase a laser?
Yeah. Like the little beam, thing.
Yeah, the little thing like that. Well, I was showing her, and she says, I told her that was Tinkerbell. And she thought it really was. Sorry, Madeline, had to tell that on you. But that was just one of the things that we
guess we can throw her under the bus too. So
that's it. Now, Gabriel, when you were little like that, you had a great vocabulary, even at that small age we just saw. You was even, I think it was like 3 years old, you was telling people when you go to Walmart, see their name tag, you would spell their name. and that was blew people away on this right here.
Oh, yeah.
Now I understand that you went to Spartanburg High School.
Yes, sir, I did.
And
Proud Viking.
Now wasn't you were actually one of the many of those students there, but y'all was the first students to really go into that new school.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I had seen a little bit of the old school because I had, of course, my old next door neighbor. He actually went to Spartanburg High School too. And so I got a little bit of a taste of the old school. But really, once we started coming in, I believe we might have been the first, or either the first or the second freshman class that went into the new school. So that was definitely a change for everybody. And I remember walking in that high school the first day, and I was just like, this is so big. I don't know anything. And I mean, that's every high school, right? It's like a change for everybody. But for me, I walked in there and I was lost. I saw kids of all different like ages, and like it was just this big, massive building. And then I was just so overwhelmed with everything. And then I just realized basically just a T shape on 2 floors. And then that's basically the whole layout. So I was like, I'm so overcomplicating this. And like, but yeah, it was definitely a change to go to that new school.
So you was kind of like overthinking it. And
oh, yeah.
Well, you know what? It's a very impressive school, because when you drive right in front of it and I look over there at that, I says, wow, I would be lost every which way.
It's like kind of on this little hilltop, like way out in the distance, and you got to like drive a country mile in order to actually get into it. So yeah.
So you had to call an Uber to get there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like Uber, Lyft, something like that.
Now, what was your main concern when you went into this new high school? Was it getting to your classes on time, or how much space was your classes? Did you like have to run a marathon to get to one end to the other?
Well, fortunately, a lot of my classes were kind of clumped together that first year. So like they were in kind of one part of the building. They kind of separated all the freshmen. In the old school, they actually used to have a freshman academy. So, like, they would have a separate part of the building. From what I understand, this is how it worked. They had, like, a separate part of the building that was, like, the freshman academy. But when I went to Spartanburg High School, like, the new one, it was just mainly all the freshman classes were just kind of clumped together. And so you were just able to go to all of your classes, and it wasn't that much of a trouble. And I think they kind of do that on purpose because, like, I feel like if people would have to navigate that whole school, like, the first week, they'd probably get lost. So
well, yeah, myself as being a grown-up, I would probably get lost in there myself, because it just kind of it intimidates you really when you go up to it, seeing how big it is. And now what part of the school, I mean, they just, that school had so many different things going on in it. I mean, they had a gym in there too, right? I mean,
they had like a whole gym. We basically had a whole stadium, and like I remember like in the cafeteria they had these huge glass windows where you could like look out into that massive stadium. And they had like the big jumbotron that you'd see at like college stadiums and stuff like that. It was insane, especially compared to like little Union High School, right? Which is like, you know, a little bit older and stuff like that, or like even the old Spartanburg High School. I mean, it's just such a huge difference. I mean, I have people telling me all the time who go to Union, but then come over to Spartanburg, they're like, this is insanity. So, I mean,
I know most people know that's probably getting ready to maybe make a plunge coming to Spartanburg High School. And one thing that I would want to know is, how's the food? Did you ever eat in the lunchroom?
Oh, I did absolutely eat in the lunchroom, and it was, I'd say it was mixed. Like, okay, so they had, this is a little bit of gossip here, I guess, from me.
Tell it.
So they used to have, well, they still do have this line that was supposed to be like the Papa John's pizza line, and it literally had the Papa John's logo on it. Like, it was literally, it said Papa John's there, right? Uh-huh. And so I get my pizza, and it's so clear that they just gave the lunch people, like, the ingredients and then just told them, like, do whatever with it, I guess. And so it was Papa John's pizza, but then you got it and it was just a mess. Like, the cheese would just fall off the second you bit into it. It was a complete mess, man. But then I started going to, like, this little Latin line, and they have, like, chicken and rice bowls there. And, like, that was actually, like, pretty good. It was definitely an improvement over the pizza for sure.
Wait a minute. I just don't think that you was in school. I think that you went down to the mall and went to the food court.
I mean, that is kind of what it was like a little bit. But I mean, I've heard some schools have like Chick-fil-A's and Pizza Huts in them now, and I'm like, right. Where can we get that? Like, well, to be fair, we did have this thing called Fun Lunch where like I think it was for mainly like rallies and stuff. When we had like pep rallies, we would have it, and like they would bring like a Chick-fil-A food truck out, and they would bring all these different food trucks and everything. So it was definitely a neat little experience to have that food at school. So I mean, yeah. So you
that to me that sounds like some great eating there. Man, I could have went back to high school then, because our lunchroom when I went to high school, we had one big lunchroom, and you go through there and you got your big metal tray, and slap stuff on it like that, and you look at it.
Yeah.
Could I have some more of that green stuff? And but actually, some of our schools were some good stuff like that. Now, you're getting into high school. You have a lot of AP courses, which are advanced placement courses you had there. And tell us a little bit about the advantages of taking these AP courses, and we'll talk a little bit about that versus you going into to college and PC. So tell me a little bit about these AP classes right here. And did you take them starting in your freshman year and through your high school year there?
So originally how it worked was I kind of had a mixture of a bunch of classes, because there was only really one AP class that you could really take as a freshman, which was AP Human Geography, which is also, I believe, at Union as well. But eventually, over the course of like my sophomore year, I started adding more. I had like, I believe either 2 or 3, I think it was 2 in my sophomore year. And then once I got to junior and senior year, I just loaded up on all of them. All of my classes were APs, every single one. And we had,
oh, wow.
Yeah, and we didn't have like block schedule, so it was all like 6 or 7 straight periods of AP classes, which I know for a lot of people watching, if there's a lot of students watching who've taken like an AP class before, they're going to be like, that's a lot of work. And yes, it was. It's a lot of work. It's pretty daunting at times, but I just eventually learned kind of how to manage it, and just like kind of learned study skills that helped me get through those classes. And trust me, I got through those classes. I mean, I passed pretty much every single AP exam, got college credit for every single class, which that's definitely...
And you brought up a good point, and that is teaching yourself how to study and tackle these and enough to where you still had your free time. I mean,
right.
It's not like that every moment of the day during all these AP classes you took, but you had to figure out a way for you to study in a way to meet those goals. And is that some advice that you would do some other kids getting ready to come in and take some AP classes? And for one thing, for them not to be really blown away or scared to do that.
So kind of, as far as that goes, I'd say it's like yes and no. So first of all, I don't think AP is for everybody. I don't think that everybody, I mean, it's definitely for like, if you're like a top student and you're really interested in it, go for it. And I think if you put in the work, you will succeed in the class. Like, that's just always been my thinking. Like, if you put in the amount of work you need in order to actually succeed, then you will, you know what I mean? And like, if you put your mind towards the right things, then eventually you will succeed in those things. But I would say, as far as that goes, with the study habits, I'm a very like, and this kind of ties into my business, this ties into college too, this is just kind of universal advice. I'm a very, how my kind of brain works is I'm very heavy on time management. Like, I'm constantly thinking about like, how can I manage my time better? And like, because you only get 24 hours in a day, and 24 hours is often not enough. I feel like, I'm like, a lot of times I feel like I'm pressed for time, and like, but for me, I feel like I kind of work better under pressure sometimes. Like, I'm able to really shine and say, okay, so I need to do this thing for my business, this thing for school, kind of portion it out, have this for free time, spending it with my friends and all that. So I would say definitely just have that structure in your mind, and like don't stress too much about it, because eventually it'll just kind of be second nature. Like it's second nature for me at this point. Like it's just kind of part of my personality. But like I would definitely say if you don't have those time management skills, especially if you're thinking about going into college or thinking about starting your own business or something like that, you've got to learn those skills, or else you will really
fall behind, right?
Yeah, you'll really sink in a lot of that.
Yeah,
so
because in your time management, and to me, I'm a time management person. I watch things, and sometimes I hit pressure deadlines, and when I'm doing this, I really want to I shut everybody out because I'm focused on one thing, and trying to get that accomplished. And sometimes we can kind of be neglect on some of our family stuff. So you really got to really separate your work, your studies, and family time. And you got to have that family time in there to give yourself a rest in the mind and stuff. So would you think that would be correct?
Yes, I definitely think that would be correct.
Yeah. Now, you got 44 college hours.
Yes, sir.
Going in to PC.
Yes, I know a lot of people, like, when they see that, they're like, you're out of your mind. Like, that's absolutely a crazy number. And I think, especially for those top students, that's definitely achievable doing what I did. I mean, you just kind of have to really work with your advisor and really... So the main reason why I chose to go to Spartanburg High School was because they offered those AP classes, right? I could have gone to a school like that was 10 minutes away from me, but I chose to drive 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back every day, because that gave me opportunities to allow me to do stuff like this. And now that's saving me a ton of money on tuition, and that's, you know, that's helping me kind of get ahead in terms of like, okay, I can kind of get actually into the business world and kind of get myself educated faster. So it's giving me a lot of benefits now. So it's really just planning for the long term. And I know a lot of schools also offer like dual enrollment, but I mean, dual enrollment at my school was like, if you took dual enrollment wasn't really like focused on at Spartanburg. It was mainly like, we are very AP heavy, right? And so I would just suggest, because AP is universal. If you get credit in AP, it's not like credit in a state school where like you might be locked to only being in a school in that state, or else they won't accept that credit, right? So if you're taking all of these college credits in AP, and if you pass the exam, you get college credit for the class. That's a crazy thing. You don't even have to make like a 100 or like some super high grade. If you make like a 3 or 4 in most classes, you get college credit pretty much. And it'll depend on the school, obviously. Like a school like Duke or something, like one of those top schools, they're not going to just automatically accept every single like 3 or 4 you get, and they might require something higher. So it's just really look into like what those colleges require and just kind of plan ahead for that, because that's kind of what I did. And like,
well, you know, and that's really smart, because what you're looking at with 44 credit college hours, look how much money you saved on tuition with those right there.
Absolutely.
That right there is a great incentive. Plus you already got your goals, what you want to major in. What are you going to major in? What is your focus on? Okay, this is what I want to do with my life and how I want to achieve these goals, and what do I want to be when I grow up?
So originally, all my life, I had said computer science, computer science, computer science, computer science. I had drilled that into my head until my senior year of high school, literally my senior year. And I took 2 classes that really changed that, and that was AP Computer Science and AP Econ. And AP Computer Science, it was a good class. I had a great teacher for that class. But I really realized that that's not really what I want to do with the rest of my life. I don't really like sitting at a computer just coding all day. I mean, and people, I'm very fortunate that people will do that, obviously.
Oh, yes.
But that's really not what I wanted to do. But then I took AP Econ, And I had a fantastic economics teacher who, like, I have a bunch of stories about that dude, but he was amazing, really taught me a lot of things about, like, the stock market, about economics, and it really opened that door for me. And so now I've decided, right now the plan is I'm double majoring in economics, and I'm going to do either business administration and management or business administration with a concentration in marketing. So,
well, I think that you chose wisely, because I can't see, well, I can see you sitting there coding things, but you do that in a different aspect of your life,
right?
And which you still can, make good money for that too. But your focus where you're going, I think that you're going to be great at that, of course, because that's what you want. And when you go into careers, it's like you tell these people out here now that some of these students that you got to focus on now when you get out of high school. You got to focus on your college. Then you got to start focusing on what are you going to achieve when you get out of college. Where do you want to go to work at? Where are you going to see where most benefit is? What are you going to see? And we always look back and say, well, you're young. You don't need to be thinking about a house and all this right here. But you really do. You got to really think about planning to say, okay, I'm not going to be able to afford a house. I'm going to be able to afford this right here when I retire. And this is even at 20 years old or 21 years old, because the more you focus on that is the better you're going to be off when the time comes to retire. When most people says, "Oh, Jerry, you're working 70 years old. You got to be when you're going to retire?" And I usually say, "Well, usually about 92." But but with your focus like that, you can say, "When you're going to retire?" I say, "Oh, I retired. I'm only 48 years old, or 50 years old." And that's a good focus. And I think that way you got things organized, that you will definitely focus on that part of it. Now we'll switch gears again, just here in a moment. And folks, if you want to call and ask Gabriel any questions about anything, you can call him at 441-9382. And remember, you will be live on the air, and he'll be able to hear you and talk to you just like he would on your telephone. So be kind. but if you have any questions on that, now we're showing that you went to college, but what do you have some advice that you have some students who comes into getting scholarships?
So, wait, did I do something? Okay, I don't think I did something. I thought I messed something up with the audio for a second. That's my bad, guys. But anyways, so scholarships. So my main advice is just, my mom was really the kind of guide that I had as far as like applying for scholarships. And I really do think just apply for everything you can. Like, really in your senior year, you really have to start. Senior year I know is stressful. And it's easy for, like, in terms of, like, academics, but you're starting to think about, like, okay, what college do I want to commit to? Like, what scholarships do I want to apply for? And, like, all of these different things. So I'd really say, like, start looking. Even start in your junior year. It's never too early to start, like, looking into that, so that once you get into your senior year, like, you kind of have a plan in place, which is partially what I did. I did do a lot of things last minute, but, part of the beauty of what I did is, like, I'm basically, at least for my first semester, I was able to go to PC basically on a full ride on just, like, scholarships that I got, both private scholarships, then obviously, like, merit scholarships that I got from the college. So I would really just say, just in your senior year, kind of lock in and apply for as many scholarships as you can, just because, like, that's money in your pocket that you're applying for. And most of those applications take like 20, 30 minutes if you really, like, sit down and focus on them. So I would really say just do like 1, 2 a day. And I didn't even do that. Like, I didn't even really do that much, but, like, if you do, like, 1 or 2 a day, like, that's just money in your pocket. And eventually, my thinking is, like, even if and a lot of people are discouraged because, like, they think that they're not going to get the scholarship or something like that, or, oh, the chances are too slim or whatever. There are a lot of scholarships that I felt that way on, but what I always thought is, like, you're going to have 100 people that say no, but the one that says yes, they could give you a lot of money. And so you just got to wait for that one that says yes. And that's kind of a principle that I apply to everything too, like just business and all sorts of other things. So just really focus on applying to as many scholarships as possible.
And that's great advice, because there is absolutely hundreds, maybe even thousands of scholarships out there. And one thing you need, the higher your academics, the higher your grades, you have a better chance in getting a lot of these other scholarships also. But there's so many out there that that you can focus on. And if who cares if it's 500 or 1,000? That's 500 or 1,000
in your pocket.
In your pocket,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And
I also wanted to bring up. I remember watching this one video that said, I forget how many millions, but it's a crazy amount of like millions of dollars of scholarship money that's left unclaimed every year. Like, people are literally throwing money away because nobody will apply for these scholarships. So just literally apply to them. I've had so many scholarships that I won just because nobody else applied to them. And so just apply, and that'll make your finances so much easier to deal with once you get into college.
Well, I noticed one scholarship that you got that was, I don't know if anybody that you have seen on there, Hell's Kitchen, the cooking shows and all these things here where they compete and win prizes and money like that. And I noticed one of your big scholarships came out of Cooking with Edna Sue. And when you were cooking right here, and I've got that clip here of you in your cooking show, and I'm going to show that right now, folks.
Hello, and I am Chef Gabriel Gilstrap, and welcome to my kitchen. Today we will be making my famous homemade ice cream. It's coconut flavored, and you will definitely love it. Our first ingredient today will be 1 tablespoon of White House apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of vinegar, 100% pure maple syrup, 1 tablespoon. And most of all, we will need Happy Home imitation coconut flavoring, 1 tablespoon. And also, you need to add 1 pound of sugar. And we need to make your ice cream fluff up. You need Clabber Girl baking powder, 1 tablespoon. And for the final ingredient, you will need Ghirardelli chocolate chips. And add a little dash of them too. You don't need to put too much. And now what you have to do is swish the ingredients for 45 minutes. Not 46, not 44, 45. And finally, the final step is to add 3 ice cubes in order to make it cold. Because if you can't make it cold, it's not ice cream. And finally, you need to put your mixture into the microwave for 45 seconds. Whoa. And stay tuned for more Cooking with Gabriel. Then next time, we'll have asparagus cereal. Now our ice cream is ready. and let it cool for 1 minute, and then your ice cream will be ready to eat in the form of a square bar. And that's all, folks. That is Cooking with Chef Gabriel Gilstrap, making your favorite ice cream. Yum, yum.
All right, Chef Gabriel.
Yes, sir.
Well, wait a minute. How did you come up with this idea of doing the cooking? Because this is really actually before Edna Sue, Cooking with Edna Sue, of course. Is it just something that? Tell me a little bit about the background here. I mean, that chocolate. You had a name about. I don't know, probably 26 letters, probably the whole alphabet in that name, but you said it great.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching it, and we were watching it while it was playing over here, and he was talking about, oh, you pronounced Ghirardelli correctly, and I was like, how old was I when I did that?
Yeah, I think he was around... like six,
something like that.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? I get people talking, like I will get random people from my school, like from middle school and high school. They will come up to me and they'll tell me they found that video and they will ask for a sequel. I have people begging me, and this goes for The Great Detective too. I will have people begging me for a sequel. So Hollywood, if you're watching, y'all know who to hit up for a sequel. So I mean,
yeah. Now, what did your friends think when you sat there and said, "Let me show you something," and you showed them that? Did they laugh or did they?
I mean, it's just a grail. I mean, it's just great to watch those. Like looking back, it's hilarious. Honestly, I think it's funny when people bring it up, and like. You know, I'll watch it with like people like my friends Rand and Brody and all that, and like we'll just have a good laugh about it. And yeah, it's really fun. So
well, you know, it's just something that we did with you with the kid. I think I got videos of everybody.
You've said that like at my wedding, you're gonna have like a reel of all the videos.
Oh yeah,
that like all the freaking cringy videos that I have like in my.
They're going to be running.
They're going to be running the whole
loop.
time. Oh, well, have that at the reception, please. Don't have that at the actual service. I mean,
have it in the background.
Yeah, have it in the background. Like when we're doing like the vows and stuff, just have it in the background and stuff. Yeah, that would be a great move, Pop.
Yeah, well, see, even at the reception, we can say, you know, says, well, you know what, telling your wife to be, I said, you know, you're getting a great cook.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, I can cook some pretty mean chicken fries. I did that today, but I mean, like out of the Walmart bag. But I mean, other than that, I can't really cook for much. I mean,
well, see, that's when you got to be hanging around your dad.
Oh yeah, my parents can cook.
Right,
I can't. So I mean,
Jared, your dad is a grill master.
Oh yeah, he's like the one with the grill. I mean, we had some steak yesterday, and that was some good steak. I'm not going to lie. That was some really good steak.
Right. And, you know, let me ask you a little bit about Palmetto Boys State. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, Palmetto Boys State, if y'all are unfamiliar with that, it's I forget if it's a 6 or 7 day little leadership camp. I guess that would be the best way to describe it. It's just a little I don't really know how to word it. It's it's a thing where I remember this one quote, like, it can't be explained, it has to be experienced. Because anything that I say about this is not going to do it justice. And I think the same goes for TWB once we get to that in a second. But Palmetto Boys State really teaches you a lot about the government, but also teaches you a lot about, like, politics, how our system works, but also teaches you, like, how to be involved in your community and, like, how to really, you know, put yourself out there. It teaches you a lot of skills that I didn't really have before that, because, like, you know, there would be a lot of times where I felt like I was kind of alone a little bit, and that really helped me kind of break that barrier down and, like, really put myself out there. I remember the first day when I was kind of in my city, and that's what they called the little dorm setups. They call them cities, right? And you had like 30 people to a city. And I remember I walked in there and I did not know a soul. Like, I was looking around and I felt like I could not mesh with these people. These people were already having conversations. I was just sitting there on the couch, like, with my phone like this, like, so what am I going to do? So, I mean, it was definitely a switch up to what I was used to, but eventually I just kind of put myself out there. I ran for the Attorney General position, and unfortunately I didn't get that. I got pretty far, and if y'all check my Instagram, there's a little video of my speech that I did, and I was Double G, and I had the sunglasses. So if y'all remember Double G from the, I think it was the 2023 Palmetto Boys State, that was me. And, yeah, it was definitely an experience.
Well, what you should have done, you should have called me.
I think I'm going to stop you there.
I could have been your campaign manager. We could have videos. We could have, we could have.
Well, okay, that's true. I would trust you with that. I mean, I don't know if I would want somebody who has access to the Great Detective and the cooking show running my campaign. But I mean, I appreciate the offer.
Oh yeah, well, see, I could have done that easy, and we could have. I mean, we would have staged every little thing, and we would put green screen with the White House behind you, and.
With the White House? What the White House?
Well, it's saying that you're connected to the White House, Attorney General and all this stuff right here. And we can also put the figures in the background, like they're shaking your hand or something, Oh, man, we could have made it good.
Could have made it really good. Be at ease, vote Double G's.
That's it. Now, you did mention Teen Westward Bound.
Yes.
Trip. Now, we was all kind of concerned about that. Matter of fact, I think you fought tooth and nails when your parents said, we want you to go on that because Madeline went on it, your sister. And you said, I don't want to go. But you eventually changed your mind. I think your sister helped persuaded you. What was that first experience when you were getting ready to leave home? Because it's really the first time you really left home.
Yeah, so if y'all don't know me, I'm kind of I don't really know how to word this other than just saying I'm kind of a mama's boy. I don't really leave the house often, and that's why I chose to commute actually for college. But I mean, well, that's part of the reason, but I'll get into that later. But it was really, I mean, when I heard that I was going to go on this trip for 23 days without my phone across the country with a bunch of people that I'd never met, I was not amused by that idea. And I remember thinking, oh Lord, how am I about to do this? Because it sounds scary, and everybody that I've pitched it to, and I'm saying, you get to go on a 23-day trip without your phone and meet all new people, and they're like, no. I don't want to do that. And I was in the same boat as all those people. And so what really broke down that was Palmetto Boys State. I'm so glad that a lot of people who've been on both Palmetto Boys State and TWB, which some of my friends have, they will think I'm crazy for this, but I did Palmetto Boys State, had a 2-day break, and then immediately left for TWB, which was about a month of being gone from the house. Literally, over a month from being away from the house.
Well, I know that, you're talking about your phone, and you was into your electronics even more so then, too. And I was thinking when I was watching you leave is that... I wonder how he's going to do without that phone. They said, okay, give him up, and we talked several times before, which we talk about the outdoors, and and I quote you're telling me, says, Pop, you know what? Says, I'm really not an outdoors person. I don't like to go outdoors and do things, chores like that. And I remember you telling me that, and I'm thinking, buddy, you're going to get some experience on the outdoors, right?
Oh, yeah. So we had to do this is another thing, too. We had to camp outside for most of the trip. And a little side note here, a little tangent. If you've never camped down here in the South, it is not a fun experience because we have humidity, we have bugs, we have all this stuff going on. So camping out here in the South, once we got back to Kansas or something, it was just a whole mess with that. But, yeah, so...
Where was your first camping?
So our first camping was literally the first night. They did not leave any time for us to kind of get our stuff together. We literally camped outside the first night of the trip. It was in this random state park in Alabama. It was right next to this little archery thing. I remember it like it was yesterday. And it actually wasn't that bad. I mean, we brought like sleeping bags and stuff. And, everybody brought their little, I forget what they're called now. It starts with an E. It's the little hammock things. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes.
What's it called? It's like something is it an emu? Is that right?
Well, that would be the animal.
No, not an emu, an inu. I don't remember if that's what it's called. But it's something like that.
It was like a hammock, basically.
Yeah, it was like a hammock. And so some people hung those up the first day, but I chose to sit in my sleeping bag. And I remember just feeling like I'm not really that homesick, actually. Like, I'm having a good time. I'm meeting people. Like, this was a pretty good first day. And, like, a lot of people, I will admit, if you do go on that trip, you're probably going to feel homesick. The reason why I didn't is I got all of that out of the way my first day at Palmetto Boys State. Right. I got all those emotions basically all went out first day at Palmetto Boys State. I was freaking out.
Isn't the first 5 days no one calls in or calls out?
Yes, nobody calls in, nobody calls out until after you've hiked the Grand Canyon, which if you've ever hiked the Grand Canyon, you know that is not an easy task. And I mean, it was definitely, we go like a mile and a half into the Grand Canyon and a mile and a half out. And I would definitely recommend everybody do that for sure. I will never forget that. And like the Grand Canyon, I didn't really care about nature that much in all honesty, but you go to a place like the Grand Canyon or you go to some of these national parks that we saw and like, but especially the Grand Canyon, it's just like pictures don't do it justice. Like you see a picture of it and it's beautiful, but you see it in person, it's just like, just wow.
Yeah, it's total difference in seeing it in person and touching and feeling and smelling the air because the air is different there.
Oh yeah.
And now if I went, I would have to ride a donkey.
Yeah.
Into the Grand Canyon.
We actually saw a bunch of donkeys and like mules and stuff. We would have to stand on like they have the little steps on the Grand Canyon. You have to step kind of to the side to let the mules through that the rangers were kind of guiding everywhere. So that was definitely a unique experience. But
you stopped off in Louisiana, correct?
Yes, I did.
And what part of Louisiana did you camp out there also, or would you have
So we went to New Orleans. So New Orleans was definitely an experience, I would say. It's not for everybody. And for me, I didn't really get a whole lot out of it. But maybe it was just like the day that we went, it wasn't the best weather and stuff like that. And so that was probably part of it. But I just wasn't really intrigued by it. It wasn't like the best place. But in Louisiana, that was one of the few nights where you finally stay indoors. And the place that you stay in indoors that night is like the nicest place you stay in. It has like bunk beds. It has like all of these nice little things going on with it. So I would definitely say like, the place that we camped out in Louisiana, it was, I don't remember exactly where it was in like relation to where, I remember it was like an hour out of New Orleans. And so, it was definitely the nicest place we stayed at that trip.
Well, that's great because I've lived in Monroe, Louisiana, and I've been through New Orleans and been there a lot. And there they have known for their biggest mosquitoes you ever seen. You'd think they're hummingbirds. they're that big. So now on this whole trip, did you have a culture shock when you got to California?
A little bit. I would say it wasn't as big of a deal as I was expecting, but I will say one thing is, and I apologize to any Californians that may be watching if there are any, but Los Angeles was not good. Like, it was just, in my opinion, Los Angeles was one of those places that I'd heard about in the movies, and like you hear about it all the time, like Hollywood and like the Walk of Fame and all that. And like I'd always wanted to go, and I said, "Oh, I want to live in Los Angeles" when I was young. And then I get to Los Angeles, and it's just a complete trash hole. Like that's the best place. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just Hollywood Boulevard is just like it's just the Chinese theater and like just a bunch of homelessness and like 2 restaurants, and that's pretty much it.
Oh wow! I bet
It's not the most interesting or clean part of Los Angeles. Or like the best part for me was UCLA, and we got to go to UCLA's campus, and that was actually really cool to see that. I didn't get the hoodies because they are overpriced. They're like $80 hoodies or something like that, which is ridiculous. But I mean.
Well, I on your travels there, and your dad was born in Kansas, and
yes.
So what about the state of Kansas? What did you? Because I heard Madeline's interpretation of a couple of states there that there was just nothing but cornfields, or
yes, one word: corn, and oil. There's a little bit of oil rigs and 1 Flying J's. That's it. That's all there is in Kansas from what we saw.
What? No Dollar General?
Probably not from what I saw. Probably not. Yes, it is a lot of corn, oil, a lot of all that. And we stopped by like 1 college there. That was the only remotely interesting thing in Kansas. That's mainly like a driving day on the trip where you just kind of get to know everybody a little bit, just kind of get to talk with everybody. It's kind of near the end of the trip, so you don't really, they don't go ahead and kill you right then with a drive to Kansas. I mean, I'm sure there's other interesting stuff in Kansas, but I mean, we mainly used it as a way to get from point A to point B, not really stopping anywhere. So,
okay. Now, which state that you went through, which place do you just say it's so awesome that you wouldn't mind living there, you mind going back there? Which state do you have to?
I would definitely say Wyoming. Wyoming takes the cake for me. And a lot of the places in California. I know I was just trashing on California. I'm going to redeem myself here. I think a lot of the places that I visited in California were really cool. Like San Francisco. Would not want to live there. Absolutely not. But I think as a place to visit, it's a beautiful city. I mean, there's so much to do with like the trolleys. There's Chinatown. I mean, there's a bunch of cool places there. But also Wyoming. Wyoming is the big place that, like, once you get there, that's really, like, the peak of the trip, in my opinion. Like, you go to Jackson Hole, which is just gorgeous. If you've ever been to Jackson Hole, it's just, like, the Grand Tetons, or as we called it, the Grand Detons, or Grand Detons, because that's the name of the TWB, like, director. His name's Grant Deaton, and so, yeah, we kind of made a pun out of that. And so Jackson Hole, Yellowstone, and then you go to Cody, Wyoming, which is like this old retro western town. And it's
wow.
Like, it's like really old, like cowboy town. And unfortunately, we only got an hour to spend in their main street before we had to go to, they are considered the rodeo capital of the world. Right. So we got to go and see a live rodeo in Cody, Wyoming. And that's an experience I'll never forget. Like, I have the American cowboy hat. If y'all know if y'all follow me on Instagram, y'all know the little picture that I have as like my profile picture. That's where it came from. Was the rodeo in Cody. That was a really fun night. And so,
well, that's a great adventure yourself. And would you recommend this to every young boy?
You're talking about TWB, correct?
Yes.
I would say sign up as soon as possible. In all honesty, it's literally a trip for everybody. I don't think there's a single person who's gone on the trip that I've talked to that was like, oh, I hated that trip. No, it is literally everybody loves it. Everybody gets something out of it. Everybody makes a friend. Everybody visits like these bucket list places. Like, you go to Disneyland, you go to the Grand Canyon, Las Vegas, you go to Wyoming, you go to you go to the original Kentucky Fried Chicken. Think about that. You go to Kentucky, you go to Churchill Downs, and the original Kentucky Fried Chicken. And so, yeah.
Everybody's got to go to the original fried chicken, right?
It was the best. I'll tell you, it was the best KFC I've ever had. So, I mean.
Did you eat there?
Yes, we did get to eat there. So, definitely the best food we had on the trip, for sure. Because we were mainly eating just road trip food at that point. Like little sandwiches and stuff like that. So, yeah, but I would definitely say, if you're thinking about going and you're kind of in the same boat as me where you're just not sure, you're just kind of scared of the unknown, just do it. I promise you, you might get there and the first 4 days you're like, I hate this. I really don't like this. But I promise you, everybody finds their group. Everybody does. They make it to where everybody knows everybody by the end of the trip. You will know trust me, by the end of the trip, you will know everybody's name. They basically force you to. And like, but that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
That's a really good thing because you kind of get yourself out there and like, yeah, it's definitely.
Well, you get
to
meet some new friends and have all of you having the same adventure. That's
yes,
that's
and the one sad thing about that is a lot of those friends that I made from TWB, they live in like North Carolina and stuff like that. I don't know if any of them are watching right now. I did post on my Instagram story, so I hope somebody from the trip is watching. But yeah, a lot of those friends are from North Carolina, and so I don't really get to see them much, and I wish I could see them more, but they're just always kind of spread out over North Carolina. Now a lot of them are in college and everything.
Right,
so
a lot of different things happen in that, but you always have those great memories. Now,
Absolutely.
I want to switch gear. We got like 5 minutes here, but let's talk a little bit about Launch Link. What is Launch Link?
So, here's kind of the business pitch. So it's something that I'm kind of building a little bit in the background right now. I did kind of a soft launch for it a couple months ago, but I'm kind of just trying to build it up right now. And so basically what we do is, I've had experience in just kind of getting into the business stuff that I've done. I've been doing graphic design online for about 3 years, right? Been working with some of the biggest creators on YouTube on their little thumbnail design. So if you know the little pictures on YouTube, I make those. And so, so I make those little images. I do that. And so, yeah, I've been really trying to expand that into helping local businesses because my thing is I don't just want to do something that's a cash grab. I want to do something that's actually helping my community, right? And so LaunchLink is basically a social media management and marketing company that I made. And basically, I know that's something that's very high in demand right now. A lot of people are interested in that. And so, and especially right here, you don't really have many options as far as that goes, or at least many local options. I know that for sure. And so basically what we do is we do social media management, we do marketing and just kind of creating posts that will hit with your audience, basically. We do graphic design, logo design if needed. We do all sorts of different things for your brand just to make sure we can boost your brand out to as many people as possible. So, yeah, that's basically the gist.
Now, we have a lot of businesses here, some mom and pop businesses, owners that either don't know how to push their business out. It's anything, anybody can put things on Facebook and just kind of type it in there, put a picture up there, but to actually own your own Facebook page as a business and you're putting your business out there and you're putting what your business does and do it in a professional way because you know yourself, myself even, we search through things and we see a business pop up and if it's not organized, it's all over the place, I skip through it. I don't even look,
Right.
So that to me is that at least in our community here, and there's other little smaller communities also, that a lot of the businesses really need someone to manage their Facebook, their YouTube, their Instagram, to get, because I know you're doing Keepsake Jewelers, and to get them out to showcase in a professional way, because there's professional ways and there's unprofessional ways.
Yes, absolutely. And I know a lot of people will be skeptical when they see somebody like kind of young starting out like me kind of taking this over, but I mean, I have 3 years of business experience. I have testimonials from several clients who can back my work up. And I care a lot about communication and professionalism. That's some of my core business values. And so when I really work with these businesses, I take it very seriously. I don't take it lightly. I don't try to, screw people over with this sort of stuff. I realize that I'm dealing with people's money here and I want to make a difference. I don't just want to, like I was saying, I don't just want it to be a cash grab. I want to actually make a difference in my community, be the one who actually steps out and does this sort of thing for people. And so, yeah, it's just mainly a thing of like really understanding your business, understanding your audience, which I do by, this is kind of getting into how the business works a little bit, but I basically developed like a content strategy for these businesses, and that kind of analyzes like the top businesses in kind of your niche and kind of selects like okay, this is what works, this is what doesn't for your niche. I present that to these businesses. They can kind of comment on it, like give their own feedback as far as where they want to take the brand. And so we're just kind of building it together. And I want it to be this, I want to actually build a relationship with my community where I'm using my skills to help out my business and, of course, build up my own business as well. So,
right. And the way you do that is, I mean, like I said, proof's in the pudding, what they always said, the old school way. But to me seeing a young man doing these things right here, myself, I wouldn't question at all about his skills, mostly because you grew up in technology, you grew up and you studied these things, and you looked at things, and you, even at a young age, you know, we sat together sometimes, and we looked at animation, you know, how that can really drag on quite a bit. Take a 12-second little thing, it takes 24 to 48 hours.
24 hours to render it out.
We're sitting there, when's it going to quit? But yeah, to me, I wouldn't hesitate. I would, as far as myself, somebody said 70 years old, he don't even know how to use his phone, does he? You know.
And you're smarter than me in a lot of things. I mean, I wouldn't know how to set all this up right here that you've got, and I mean, you're able to set it up. I mean,
well, it just depends. Like again, in your expertise here, I wouldn't know how to do what you're doing and some of the things that you're doing there. But we know, because we know each other when we about things. But people really ought to know that you yourself have the skills and to launch this business and to put yourself out there. I think people should just give you a call, tell them where they can find you for this launch link.
So there's a lot of different ways you can find me. So mainly through my Facebook and Instagram pages for Launch Link. So that would be Launch Link US on Instagram. So Launch Link and then like us or US right there. And that's the Instagram app. And then also I have a Facebook account for Launch Link. And then of course, if you want, you can always just DM me directly through something like Facebook DMs. If you want to do like Instagram or something, you can always contact me that way. And yeah, I'd love to get in touch with you. I'd love, if you're interested in any of this stuff, interested in hearing more of like what I do, I'd love to book a call with you guys. And yeah, I want to make a difference. So,
well, okay. Well, Gabriel, I appreciate you coming on and talking about all these things here. Even though I might have embarrassed you a little bit with some videos, but
you're perfectly fine.
But I think they was just part of your character. And actually see him break your character a little bit. But thank you for coming. And people need to get a hold to him. Hey, you can always send me a message. Well, I'm Jerry McKee. And let me find my little buttons over here. And next week, we're going to have a couple little things different next week. I've got a guest coming on, but she won't be on until a little later. But stay tuned. You'll see. By the weekend, you'll know who it is. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and thank you for watching Primetime with Jerry McKee and my guest, Gabriel Gilstrap.
See y'all around.